All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, with the start of the NFL season just days away, okay, a hot topic on the minds of some fans in the Big Apple is the status of Giants general manager Joe Schoen and head coach Brian Daboll. Now, there might be some who want to speculate and say that maybe this could be a make or break year for Shane and Dayball with the New York Giants, but I'm here to say otherwise. Shane and Dayball are only entering their third year with the Giants, okay? And as they are attempting to return this franchise to its glory days, you cannot gloss over the fact that they inherited a mess. The stench of former Giants general manager Dave Gettleman still remains with this team. Now, from 2018 to 2021, Gettleman was a Giants general manager, and his bad personnel decisions put New York on a fast track to nowhere. Now, three of Gettleman's six first round picks with the Giants are no longer with the team. And in the case of cornerback DeAndre Baker, he hasn't even played in the NFL since 2021. And I will always say this, okay? You cannot miss on your first round picks in the NFL, especially when you're picking as early as the Giants have been lately and when you've been as bad as they've been in recent years. So you look at Joe Shane right now, okay? This guy, he now has three drafts under his belt as the Giants GM. And you look at some of the picks he's made so far early on, the jury's still out on some of them. But one thing's for sure, I think that Kayvon Thibodeau is a star in the making. And I think he has the potential to have an even better season now with the arrival of Brian Burns as that bookend edge rusher is going to free some things up for him. Of course, the jury's still out on Evan Neal, if you want to call it that. Maybe he switches positions. We have to wait and see. And then, you look at guys who were taken early on in 2023, like Deontay Banks. And then, of course, their first round pick this year, Malik Neighbors. The talent is there. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works out for him with the Giants. Now, how much will losing running back Saquon Barkley to the Philadelphia Eagles hurt Shane with both the New York media and the fans there? I mean, we've heard a lot about it already. Okay, and this is a big deal because it's not just the fact that Saquon left; he went to your rival, which is about 90 minutes away from you. Okay, if that much. So clearly, the Eagles were already light years ahead of the Giants in regards to talent. I do believe Saquon is going to have a big impact season there. Clearly, he's going to be in the postseason, barring something unforeseen with Philadelphia. But unless, I mean, you're going to hear about it regardless, okay? But unless the Giants have a real bad season, if we're talking about New York being 3-14, 4-13, something to that extent, you know, and Saquon, really knocks it out of the park. You're going to hear about it regardless, but clearly then you're going to hear about it more. Okay. But if the Giants do have a bad season, should they move on from Joe Shane and Brian Daboll? And I'm here to say no. To me, I look at this combo and they have 2 years under their belt with a playoff appearance. And on their resume, you can say, hey, they helped the Giants win their first playoff game since winning Super Bowl 46. And again, this was not going to be a quick rebuild. And it still isn't a quick rebuild. The Giants are showing signs of improvement, but they still have a ways to go. Um, the other question for me is I do believe, or the other statement rather, is I do believe that Shane and Dayball are safe with all of that said. But one thing that they do have to fix going forward is the fact that I don't believe that the Giants starting quarterback for 2025 and beyond is currently on the roster. It's going to be very interesting this season for Big Blue to see how much patience that Dayball is going to have with quarterback Daniel Jones this year. You look at a situation, Daniel Jones has 5 years under his belt, or parts of 5 seasons under his belt as a Giants starting quarterback. He's 22, 36, and 1 as a starter in the National Football League. Of course, 1 and 1 in the postseason. You're looking at a guy who's throwing 62 touchdowns for his career and 40 interceptions. This more than likely, unless DJ finds a way to help the Giants get to the postseason, I don't see him back with the Giants for 2025. A lot of questions about Daniel Jones, a lot of questions about this offensive line, because you look at last season. I know Daniel Jones only played 6 games for the Giants, uh, but part of the issues I put on Daniel Jones, the other part I put on the offensive line. You look at the fact that Daniel Jones was sacked 30 times last season, only played 6 games. Okay, and at the end of the day, I just don't feel like he has the it factor to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. It's one of those, if his first read isn't there, he's really not good at checking off, and the inaccuracies at times at well. I look at the fact that the Giants have done a solid job, in my opinion, of putting talent around Daniel Jones at the wide receiver position. But again, you could have all of the talent in the world at the wide receiver position. If the guy throwing them the football can't consistently get it to them, that's going to be a problem. So it's one of those where you look at the Giants, they open their season at home this Sunday against the Minnesota Vikings. I know that the Vikings are favored in that game. And of course, Giants fans definitely want to see their team win. They want to see their team get off on a solid start. And Daniel Jones cannot afford to go out there and have a bad game in front of the home fans, because the folks in New York will definitely let you know how it is. And of course, the media will do that as well. So if this is it for Daniel Jones this year, will the Giants look to draft a quarterback next year, or will they hit free agency? Um, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out if we get to that scenario, because the Giants were kind of like they couldn't get the guy that they really wanted this year in Drake May, and they weren't going to take Bo Nix there. They weren't going to take JJ McCarthy there. They clearly passed on Michael Penix Jr. as well. And it's one of those where we heard the stories about the Giants looking to move up to take Drake May. Well, I got news for you. You're not looking up to take a quarterback if you clearly don't believe in the guy that you have right now, which is definitely why I don't see Daniel Jones there next year. Maybe they go out and draft a guy. There's some quarterback talent that's expected to be in next year's draft, or maybe they simply go out there and test free agency. We have to wait and see. Then there's the John Mara factor. Will Mara continue to stay out of the way in order to allow Shane and Daboll to try to get this right? If you're a Giants fan, I definitely hope so. Because at the end of the day, when you run a business, it's all about hiring the right people and putting them into positions that they need to succeed. And at the same time, this is why you hired certain people to do said job. So if you hired Shane and Shane hired Dayball, let them do the jobs, plain and simple. Uh, Closing the gap, the Giants, and that's the big thing when I think about when I say closing the gap, because you look at this NFC East division. It's been dominated for quite some time now by both the Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles. They've basically been trading off uh, who wins this division, sprinkled in, with the championship here and there for Washington. But nonetheless, if you're the Giants, you have to find a way to close that gap. And I mean, the Eagles are still doing a good job as far as drafting. The Dallas Cowboys definitely have the talent there. And the Giants are trying to improve, but I don't see them closing that gap as of yet and being able to really make a push, if you will, to contend for this division title. So for me, when I see this Giants team, I do see an improving roster. Okay, but I still don't see them being a factor. And the biggest thing for me, questions on the offensive line, and of course, questions at the quarterback position. And you can't have questions at the most important position on the football field and think that you're going to have success out there. I look at this Giants team, and they're going to have to win ugly this year. And they're going to have to win games 19 to 13, 17 to 16, and so forth. The defense is going to have to play lights out. They're going to have to get some breaks, special teams wise, because I don't see this offense led by Daniel Jones being able to consistently go out there and get 20 to 28 points on a game to game basis. That is going to be the biggest thing for me with the Giants. I look at Shane and Daboll. I do not think that they're working for their jobs unless we see something catastrophic out of the Giants this year, a really bad season. Do I not see Dayball or Shane coming back next year for 2025? At the end of the day, I think this is it for Daniel Jones. I think they've given him now some opportunities to get it done. Of course, with the exception of 2022, which also happened to be a contract year, DJ has never been able to, stay healthy, and that's a big thing. You can't, go out there and be your best ability is your availability. Okay, at the end of the day, regardless of the sport. So I think the Giants definitely go in a different direction. I think they're going to show flashes this year. I think it's going to be up and down, but I don't think the Giants are going to do enough to be a playoff team, especially with Daniel Jones at quarterback. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.